angry, so angry. Don't get the black kids angry.
If there is one thing that the people in Seattle are 100% sure of, it's that living in Seattle confers upon them a level of moral superiority that the rest of us can only envy. I'm thinking of that South Park episode where they talked about smog, a wave of smog emanating from the San Francisco, Seattle area, threatening to destroy the entire country. If you check it out, you might get a kick out of it. Anyway, in Seattle, they have a really nasty little bit of violence directed at Asian women. And I'm surprised that the reporter in the story actually connects a few dots. She doesn't connect all of them. Apparently, there's no central organizing feature in her mind of all the people doing the attack. It's easy to see who the victims are, but the people doing it, well, that's kind of nebulous. There's no good description, etc., etc., etc. Spoiler alert, they're fellas, every single dang one of them. Stay tuned for even crazier news.
Well, you saw the video and heard from the victim first on KIRO 7. Now, this shocking robbery is raising concern in South Seattle. It is the latest in a string of crimes targeting Asian women.
Oh, that is just horrible video. And KIRO 7's Jessica O is live right now in South Seattle. Jessica, you have been tracking this crime trend for months now.
Monique, and what we learned is that this is a crime trend that really does seem to come and go. People in this community told us that once they hear about a series of robberies like this, it all of a sudden seems to stop, only to start back up again when guards are down. And tonight, people here told us that this is something that they have been dealing with on and off for years. This brutal attack against a grandmother is alarming, and police say women like her are specifically being targeted by robbers in South Seattle.
You know, people down here are definitely aware of it.
Linda Yip says it's no secret older Asian women need to be careful here. Wednesday's attack reminds her of what happened to her friend.
About a year ago, someone followed her on the bus and got off with her and was able to grab her pendant, but not the necklace. But that was scary.
That story is strikingly similar to what happened to May as she was walking to her Rainier Beach home on Wednesday.
I go to the market.
She told KIRO 7 the man followed her from a bus stop and tried to yank her gold necklace so hard she was left with these scrapes and bruises. And this isn't the first time May was robbed.
I hope everyone can spread out the word, able to catch this guy as soon as possible, and so that makes us feel safer.
This is the second time in 3 years this grandmother was attacked. Since April alone, nearly 10 Asian women have been robbed for jewelry and cash, mostly in South Seattle neighborhoods. Linda says these sprees come and go.
There's quite a bit of time that goes on between, and I didn't hear anything more about it. So I thought, well, maybe the last time was just an incident.
Seattle police did arrest a teen suspect in April, but they don't think he was working alone. And it seems the crime isn't stopping, which concerns bus riders like Linda.
I'm cautious, and I try to make sure my friends know about it, too.
And it may seem like very obvious advice, but police are now, of course, encouraging people to hide their jewelry and their purses when they're walking around. Police, by the way, are still looking for that suspect in the surveillance video we just showed you, and they're afraid that the longer he is out on the street, the more likely he is to commit another similar crime.
So I wonder if that young lady reporter, I wonder if she knew about the real history of the attacks on Asian people in Seattle. I kind of doubt it, because if she did, she'd be a lot more frantic, a lot more direct, and she'd put out her warning, waving her arms and jumping up and down. Why don't we go to that authoritative source, White Girl Bleed a Lot, that Amazon #1 bestseller. Here's a story from. Let me just read a couple paragraphs of it and see if it rings familiar. So this story is about Seattle, and I go through a whole bunch of examples of black on white and black on Asian violence in Seattle, including one where a bunch of black people attacked a pregnant woman on a bus on video. Lots of shootings, lots of drive-bys, lots of stabbings in Seattle. Let's pick up the book. Quote, "For all the visible violence in the Seattle area, local public officials are adamant their part of the country is safer. Just look at these statistics, they plead." That didn't make sense to Nihan Tai. This Seattle resident was robbed and assaulted in 2012. That's when I wrote that book. He soon figured out, so was everyone else in his neighborhood. Many of the victims were Asian. All the suspects are black. And here I put a link to a story at King 5 Television, which for some crazy reason is no longer up. But here's a quote from the story. Quote, I was literally 10 steps away from the house, and this is an Asian guy talking, and I felt a hit on my right face and another hit on the back of my neck and on my lower back. And so as I was falling forward, I felt hands grabbing my jacket and my bag, said Ty. 2 months later, not far from where Ty was attacked, another man was grabbed from behind, beaten, and robbed. His name was Danny Vega, and he died. Ty, like Vega, is Asian and openly gay. Before he died, Vega told police he had been attacked by 3 African-American males, all around 18 years of age. That's the 10th such attack in that area in 2 months, all near the corner of Othello Street and Martin Luther King Way. Police released a video of 3 black men who are persons of interest. Let's go back to the video story that they have since taken down. Quote, Ty started visiting his neighbors. They had a lot to say, and soon he realized he was doing his own crime survey. Ty knocked on 49 doors. 32 people were home. How many of them have been victims of crime since moving to the neighborhood? All but 3. Many victims told Ty they had never reported the crimes to police. Quote, it happens to them so often that after 2 or 3 times, they stopped reporting because they didn't see any progress, said Ty. Oh yeah, that happens here a lot.
Please, sir, I want some more.
Why don't we finish this up with a quote from Leo Knight, who's a former police officer up in the great Northwest. I think he spent a little bit of time in Canada as well. Now he's a reporter. He covers crime on both sides of the border. Quote, black on white racial violence is becoming more and more prevalent, said Knight. But no one in the mainstream media wants to talk about it. Yet, as we saw in the Trayvon Martin case, the mainstream media couldn't stop talking about that. The hypocrisy is palpable. I guess not everybody up in the Pacific Northwest is goofy. Good job, Leo. I still see Leo from time to time on Twitter. If you go over to Twitter and you follow me over there, you might want to check him out as well. So that's 2012. That's 7 years ago. It's been happening non-stop since then. In Seattle, black people targeting Asian people, black people targeting soft, white social justice warriors who are down with the cause but who have no idea how little the cause is down with them, i.e. 0. Because letting out the big secret, and that is, just because you're down with the cause, that doesn't mean the cause is down with you. People who let that secret out, that makes the black kids angry.
Don't make the black kids angry.